News Talk 640, all that music and carrying on was a disguise, a complete disguise for me to get ready to do my podcast here with Linda McAllister from Up and Coming Weekly. And before I do that, I want to share some information. We talked about cyclosporiasis last hour and what you have to do in order to be aware that you may have it and things you need to do if you think you have it. Just want to go over these very quickly with you. Once again, you want to know how it spreads? Pretty simple. Cyclosporiasis is a gastrointestinal illness caused by these tiny parasite, cyclospora. And so you can become infected with cyclospora when you eat food or drink that is contaminated with human feces. How does that happen? And it's in the water. I have Dr. Linda McAllister shaking her. She's shaking her head over there. I won't show you yet while I'm doing this. But it's an ooky sounding thing if you're out there eating breakfast right now. Don't watch the salad. Make sure you wash the salad. You want to make sure that it cannot spread from person to person, but we're told. You get it, and you can get it once again. So you need to recognize the symptoms. Symptoms of cyclosporiasis include a watery diarrhea, fatigue, a loss of appetite, typically beginning about 1 week after becoming infected. So that's when you may all of a sudden get, you eat, and then it might not be a week before it starts. So that'll throw you off. And some of these symptoms are very symptom to other illnesses, and you may not think you have this, and when you do. And some people can get very sick very quickly, especially those who are immune compromised and the elderly and children. So watch what you're eating out there. Here's some of the things. You may need to get some antibiotics also if you're infected by this. And you may experience these symptoms. You need to get some rest. Drink plenty of fluids. That's normally the case if you have diarrhea anyway. You want to replenish those fluids. Talk with your doctor or other healthcare professionals to determine the best course of action for you. And I always make sure I share that with everyone because one treatment for one person is different for another person depending on other medications you may be taking, the height, your weight, and just your overall basic health. So talk with your doctor if you think you have that. And the thing about this is you can get it. It may last for a week. It may last for several months, a month or so or longer. So you want to make sure you watch out. Stay away from anything that's been recalled. And so be aware of that type of there was some lettuce, I think, from the central part of Mexico that was recalled. So you want to make sure you're avoiding that type stuff as well. And lastly here's the take your steps here to avoid this illness. It's pretty simple. It's going to sound like I'm going to tell you to do things that you would do if you have COVID-19. Wash your hands. We've always said wash your hands. But most importantly, wash all your produce thoroughly under running water. I use warm water when I do mine. Make sure you do that before you cut and eat it. Even if you get it in a bag that says ready to eat, pre-wash. That's probably one of the bags that you really need to wash because you don't have whoever did it wash theirs. So make sure you do that. You can cook your produce at least 158 degrees. I don't know about you. I don't cook my salad. I mean, that's kind of an unusual thing to ask me to do. But that cooking will kill the parasite. Washing alone cannot guarantee that the cyclospora will be killed or removed if you don't cook it. You can wash any surfaces also that's been touched by the produce that comes in contact. It's kind of like chicken. If you're cooking chicken, you put it on the counter, you probably want to get a bleach solution and spray down your counter after you finish with it. I know when I cook chicken or whatever it is for the kids, I always spray the pot with a spray of Clorox or something in addition to cleaning it to get rid of anything that could be E. coli, whatever that's coming that you may get from chicken and all that kind of stuff. You want to do that? Scrub your fruits and vegetables like melons, cucumbers, and stuff. Clean the produce with a brush if you have that. And cut away the outer layers of your fruit and your vegetables. Normally, I don't eat the outer layer of my head of lettuce. I peel it back, I cut out the spine, and I try to stay safe. Now, you had a bout with this last week, Trevor, I think, a little bit. Okay. All right, look, I've got Dr. Linda McAllister in here. That has nothing to do with why you're here. Other than the fact, have you had any dealings with cyclosporiasis at all?
No, I haven't, but it reminds us that we in America are so lucky to have good hygiene and good bathrooms, whereas in underdeveloped countries, that is not the case. And I can still remember in medical school learning about parasitology. So we learned about all the little parasites that can infect our heart, our intestinal tract, our brain. So,
Well, you bring up a good point, and I was in Egypt during the Gulf War, and the Nile River is the main water source for Egyptians, and I think you get accustomed to certain parasites depending on what region of the world you are. Your body adapts. Would you agree with that? That your body probably is able to deal with different parasites and things in different countries, as opposed to if you're an American and you come in, or if you go down to Mexico, they say don't drink the water. But people who live in those regions have developed an immunity, I think, to the parasites. And I remember I was trying to make sure I wasn't going to have a problem. I didn't drink the water while I was in Egypt, but vegetarian, I ate the fruit. I forgot the fruit is grown with the river from the Nile. And you talk about explosive diarrhea. My gosh. So you have to watch yourself when you travel around. And, with cyclosporiasis being the way it is right now, we're just sending out the alert for folks to be careful. No matter where you live and where you get your food, go ahead and wash it. I think that's good advice.
and also some countries have a protocol because of the insects and different parasites that happen. For example, in Africa, hydroxychloroquine is used as an antimalarial, but it also was very helpful with COVID. And yet it was, there was so much negative talk about hydroxychloroquine. But truly, if that had been available over the counter and everybody could have had access to it, it would have made such a difference in our COVID death numbers.
Yeah, well, I remember when we were going through that and reporting on what's available and what's not available. When I was hospitalized, I forgot the drug that I got. It was like one of the first ones that was approved, and it did make a difference for me in terms of my condition. Well, I'm here. Let's put it that way. And plus, I did take the vaccines as well. I remember doing a story on the first person who took I can't think of what the remdesivir,
Right.
remdesivir. Yes, I interviewed
It's an expensive.
well, we had one of the first people to take it. I interviewed that individual, and he said from the moment he took that at the hospital, it was like overnight he just started to come back, and I still have scarring in my lungs from the COVID, and probably it's taken 5 years off my life. And there are people who have long-term COVID, and there's issues there. All right, look, but that is not why you're here. You're here because you're here representing Bill Bowman, the publisher of the up-and-coming weekly newspaper, and you guys come every Wednesday to share some of the stories that you have been covering and some of the events that have been happening in the area. So go at it. Tell me what you got.
Well, I want to say that Pitt Dickey, who's our humorist on staff, his current one, look at this title.
Yeah,
Explosive diarrhea versus...
Wow, isn't it?
So if you need to chuckle, I read his headline and I just was in
It
stitches.
says explosive diarrhea is better than radioactive cheese.
So read all about it.
Okay, and what page is that? Is that
It's
current,
on page 6
current edition?
of the current edition that is being delivered throughout the city today.
Hold the front. Do you have the copy of it?
This copy is for yours. Oh,
No,
the current, yes.
the current copy.
The current up and coming.
Yeah, because you hold it up, we can see it. There it is, right there on the
you go.
screen there.
Yes.
Yeah. And
So
so,
page 5.
Operation Carolina, finish lines are lifelines. I'm sure
Yes.
you're going to tell us all about it.
And it's the cover story of a veteran that is running 700 miles throughout the state of North Carolina. And
Why?
you can read to raise awareness about military needs. So you can read all about it inside. But the thing I also want to point out to our listeners, and a shout out, good morning to Ron and Juanita that I know listen every morning.
That's what we need. Ron, how are you? Juanita, go get a biscuit. Okay.
So, last week's issue, but it's still very relevant, is our back to school issue. And inside, our social media gal, assistant editor Sheila, she put together all the places where parents and children can pick up school supplies. So you can be in North Fayetteville, West Fayetteville, East Fayetteville. You can go to the VFW's 670, for example. You can go to Dick's House of Sports, and there will be school supplies for you to pick up. So this is the issue of the 29th of July, and you can still find this online. And at some of our distribution points, you may find a few copies in the back of the current up and coming. I always like to leave a few copies at different places because every week it has relevant stories. Our stories are not outdated. In fact, in thinking of our publication amidst the other publications here in town, we're like a Reader's Digest. There's something in our paper that is of interest to anybody, everybody. If you're interested in sports, if you're interested in economic development here in town, there's a story about it. You had Kirk Deviere here talking about, yesterday rather, because I was listening to the...
Yes, the 640 replay,
yes.
yes.
Yes. And the, talk about explosive diarrhea. Businesses are just exploding coming to Cumberland County and getting an image that is very positive and enthusiastic from the FCEDC. They are really doing quite a job. So, in the current up and coming, you will find an article about the drone company that's coming to town. Interesting, isn't it? It's from Ukraine, and Ukraine has really put drones on the map because of the war that's going on with Russia.
Well, you know, and Kirk Davey and I talked about this, that the Cumberland County is really positioned to really make a difference in our economy based on the businesses that could come here and really service Fort Bragg. And, you know, there's no putting any, I guess, cover over it. This is a warfighter's town with Fort Bragg here, and this is a very unique community. And because of that, normally Cumberland County is recession-proof because of Fort Bragg. No Fort Bragg, no Fayetteville. There's no way around it. And we really learned that during the first Gulf War, when a lot of family members decided to go home after the soldiers were deployed for an extended period of time. And we have done a lot better at making it so that family members who are here have things to do and not a reason to go home to mama if the soldiers are deployed for a long time. And I think they've shortened the length of deployments because it was sometimes guys were deployed for a year and a half. And they shortened that so that they were going to get back here and get back to family business as well. So this is a very unique community, and we're glad to see that both the City Council and the Cumberland County Commissioners are poised and focused on bringing businesses here that are high-paying jobs and better-paying jobs that focus to Fort Bragg beyond taking care of selling washers and dryers and cars to soldiers. We need to take advantage of the bigger picture of Fort Bragg, and I think that's what the City Council and County Commissioners are doing. And you see that, I guess, in your story.
But the talent of the military personnel here in this community is just incredible, and the entrepreneurship is fantastic. So it's wonderful that we're getting noticed by international companies.
Well, and it took some patience to do that. And we talked about the fact that some of this should have happened years ago. If you're just joining me right now, Linda McAllister is with Up and Coming Weekly Newspaper every Wednesday or every other Wednesday. Yeah, either you or Bill Bowman is here to share information that's in the newspaper. You're going to be here for the whole hour. We're going to take a break right now. Going to come back and talk about some more of the stories and events, and especially the events, because there's so much going on here. And if Bill was in here, he'd say, hey, anybody that's saying there's nothing to do with Cumberland County is crazy. Now, he wouldn't sound like that, but I thought I'd use my Bill Bowman voice. Anybody who does it is crazy. So we're going to come back and talk with you in just a few seconds. Right now, you're listening to News Talk 640 WFNC. 7:28 is the time, and we've got Fayetteville's most dependable forecast with CBS 17 meteorologist Rachel Dunsing.
Today will be mostly cloudy with a few showers and thunderstorms and a high of 86. Tonight the storms will end and we will then turn partly cloudy with a low of 74. Thursday will be partly cloudy with isolated afternoon
So
storms
Candy's
and a
gone.
high of 91. Temperatures the
Yeah,
rest of the week are going to stay warm in the low
I've been hearing
90s
Kelvin.
with
Yeah,
mainly
stand by
afternoon
one second.
storms. That is your favorable forecast. I'm CBS 17 meteorologist Rachel Dunsing.
Rachel, you're doing a great job. 75, though, is the temperature right now. Chance of rain in the forecast. 75 in Fayetteville, Hope Mills, and also Fort Bragg. You're listening to News Talk 640. We're WFNC. I tried to tell him. Put my microphones in. Do that.